All right. I think this works. Yes, this works. It's Monday, February 24th, 2025. I'm Rim.
I'm Scott.
And this is Geek Nights. Tonight, a little late to the party, we're going to talk about Windows 11. So, we went to, there's a ritual we have every year now because for 3 years in a row, a few of us, like those of us in the front row crew who ski, try to get together and head out to like a real mountain, like out in Colorado, and ski for a week. And skiing at a place like that for a week and then coming back to the East Coast and going to any mountain, even what locals would consider a big mountain, is always just such an experience. Like you go to Hunter Mountain.
I mean, these are Appalachian mountains. They're much older, so they're much more eroded and smaller. If you go back in time, they were big like the Rocky Mountains, which are much younger.
Our mountains are
Alps,
much more sophisticated and wise compared to those brash young Rocky Mountains. But coming back to Hunter Mountain, it's funny because Emily and I, we ski and we go to like all the black diamonds and double black diamonds of Hunter Mountain that, like Emily's learning how to ski black and double black trails right now, like edging into all that. And we look at the Black Diamond Trail and it's like less steep than some of the greens we skied out in Colorado. Like it's just such a baby little hill.
I guess they I know the color shape system, right, tells you how dangerous the ski trail is, but I guess it's relative to the mountain and not an absolute system. There isn't some global rubric for determining.
All right, what I'm about to say is going to sound a little bit snobbish. There is a broadly consistent global rubric for what I would call real mountains. Then there is a relatively consistent regional ranking for the biggest mountains in every region, and then every other mountain, like 80% of ski mountains, just rank themselves. So that's why you have like Pennsylvania ski resorts that say they have a double black, when really that's just the steepest trail at that tiny ski resort. That resort is like a 10th the height of Hunter Mountain. That double black isn't even a green. So there are like 3 levels of it. But at the top, in real mountains, green means anyone who is not an absolute beginner can ski this and likely not hurt themselves. Blue means this is a normal ski trail. And black means you'd better have some expertise. You shouldn't be here unless you think you are at least an expert in skiing. Like that's probably how it goes.
But also the ski patrol is on this one because that's where all the people get hurt.
So almost everyone who gets hurt skiing gets hurt on blue trails. There are so many statistics and studies. Blue trails account for like all the injuries and all the deaths. It is very rare for someone to die on a black diamond or a green, but blues, it's common. And
I guess because green is too safe and the black symbols are enough to scare people away.
I mean, the black symbol scared me away for a long time.
But the blue isn't so scary. Maybe they should change this symbology to be like, red or something. Right?
So in Europe,
because blue seems kind of safe. It's like, all right.
In Europe and Asia, it's red instead of blue. It's only blue in like North America for reasons I
just guessed that on my own, but it turns out again the rest of the world is already smarter. Yeah, and I was my just off the cuff thinking turned out to be correct.
This is why you and I have been friends for so long, because we can't often prove we're right, but our off the cuff thinking is like usually pretty close, even in an area we don't know a lot about.
I mean, it's just common sense.
Yeah,
it's just like, I wonder if there's a way to solve this problem. How about this random idea? Oh, yeah, okay. The truth is close to your random idea because you're employing logic.
Yep. But so that said, something amazing has happened. So, in New York City, there's a thing where a scaffold will go up like on a sidewalk by a building, and it'll be there for so long that, like, you don't remember what it was like when there wasn't a scaffold there.
Oh, yeah. So people, I guess the long story, and I could tell the whole story, but basically, buildings in New York City are old, and they have facades.
Yeah.
And the pieces of the building over a long period of time, if not properly maintained, will just fall off the building. And there's a sidewalk right there. Yep. And so if a building is crumbly and someone's standing there, they can get hit and die, and it has happened.
It did happen a bunch of times.
Right, but there was one time, I forget the person, I'm sorry to the dead person, but there was one time it happened in particular that was extremely tragic, and they were like, all right, enough is enough with this bullshit, right? Everyone's got to inspect their fucking buildings to make sure that there's not shit falling off the side, so no one gets hit by random rocks and shit falling down.
Yeah, there's enough things that'll kill you in the world. You don't want to get hit by a random brick.
Yeah. And when you do this inspection, you got to put up a big old, when you're doing construction on buildings, you got to put up these sidewalk sheds, these big scaffolds that basically are just a roof over the sidewalk to protect, people who walk on that. You can't close the sidewalk. People got to walk there, right?
Yep.
They're walking here. But you got to put up a little roof so that if any shit does fall down while you're working or who knows what, it doesn't hit anybody. It just lands on a plank of wood and goes thunk. And people go, ooh. But they didn't die, which is great. But the problem is that the effort involved in putting up the scaffolds, taking them down, how long it takes to do the work, et cetera, for a wide variety of logistical reasons, these scaffolds go up, and then they just stay up for a way long time when you think they should have been taken down already, and they just stay up there for like a really long time.
Like to the
and then
point
they come
that
down,
I have a
and then
distinct memory.
They go up again.
I was walking to work a long time ago, living in the city. I was walking to work, and then I got lost. And it's not hard to find my office, but I walked past the fucking Lincoln building and kept going. And then I hit 3rd Avenue and I'm just like, what? Wait, what? What's going on? They had taken down a scaffold that had been there for as long as I have ever been to New York City. So I just walked past my own building because I had never seen that building without a scaffold in front of it before.
That's how it goes.
So
another one will go
rare.
up in another building in the area soon.
So even more rare, this is what I'm getting to. Coming home from work today, I take the 7 train home, and the platform on the 7 under Grand Central looked completely different. They have been trying to add another stair that goes into that platform for 30 years.
Well, they I guess people have. There's always been a problem with traffic getting from the 7 train platform up to Grand Central, because you got the escalator path and you got the stair path, and then or you got the direct to the outside path. That's it.
Yep.
And so and that tunnel in the middle one gets really jammed with people, and it's a big human traffic situation, fire hazard, etc. So yeah, they've been trying to add more ways to get down there, more stairwells, elevators, whatever, so that the traffic can be, because the traffic's not going to increase. The same number of people using this, well, maybe it will increase, but just to make it a little easier to get up and down to that platform. And so but the actual construction on that started, I want to estimate months, maybe a year ago. I was
definitely toward the end of the pandemic, because they put up this big blue shed around it, and bit by bit you'd see marks for demolition in the ceiling of that ancient tunnel that the 7 train goes through right there. And then an I-beam appeared one day. So today the shed is gone. There's all new lighting, and it's blocked off. You can't use it yet, but the stairway is there and connected.
Whoa.
And so I'm coming around the corner, and the people in front of me all stop and do a double take, and then they keep going, and I'm annoyed because why is people stopping in the stairway? Then I come around the corner, and I stopped and did a double take because it looked so different that it took me a second to parse what I was seeing.
Yeah, I mean, people, the MTA is corrupt. They're just taking your money and doing who knows what with it.
The MTA is a fucking machine. Give them a little more money and they'll move God.
Well, now they are, and I think back in the day there was, issues. And there are still some issues where projects cost more than they should for a wide variety of reasons, some legitimate, some not legitimate, but the money they get is used to do things, whether you can see those things or not. And here is a case of where you can see the thing. Someone will see the price tag for that stairwell and go, holy shit. And then if they talk to someone who knows what the fuck they're talking about, they'll be like, well, here's all the reasons why it had to cost that much. And it's well, okay. It's sad because you'd hope you could fix a lot of those problems, but the MTA and the construction people are not in a position to fix those problems. It would require some societal upheaval.
Yep, those problems require. I was going to more diplomatically say those are political problems, but you're exactly correct. Anyway, in some news, so the iPhone 16e has appeared.
Yeah, so the iPhone SE for the longest time was the cheapo iPhone. It basically was a way for Apple to sell old iPhones like new.
Yeah.
But basically take all the leftover parts that, they would have been used to make an older model of iPhone and just keep selling them, but also offer a lower end, cheaper iPhone. So it's you can get an iPhone if you can't afford the regular iPhone. Here's a cheaper discount option. And that was actually a very good option, even for people who could afford a better iPhone.
Oh, the iPhone SE was better than most Android phones when it came out.
Well, that's also true. But I'm saying is like the different models of SE over time, some of them were actually terrific, smaller, better. Some of them were still offering Touch ID when, and it's like, depending on your preference, like a lot of people, it's like the SE was actually a good choice, better choice.
I was waiting for the 16E partly because I was curious if it would be small enough.
No.
And no, I didn't win that one. Small phones are dead.
No. So what is the iPhone 16e? It's basically almost the same for, the other iPhone SEs were almost like a generation behind the other iPhones that they were contemporary with. This one is actually, it's an iPhone 16, which is a phone that's a few months old, right? But it's still, not that old. And what's different about the difference between this one and the iPhone 16? Well, the screen is a little less bright. The battery life is actually a little longer because probably the screen is less bright.
Yep.
And,
they do have a 6.1-inch option, which is the smallest you can get.
That's the same size. It's basically the same as an iPhone 16.
Yep.
Right? You probably couldn't tell that it wasn't an iPhone 16 unless you look closely.
Other than that, it only comes in 2 colors. It only has one
less
little
color.
camera.
But yeah, it has less color options. The camera is the part where that's most deficient compared to the iPhone regular 16. It's a way weaker camera. It doesn't have the macro function. It's like it's a way weak. The camera is way weak compared. It's not weak overall, but compared to other iPhones, it has the least powerful, least featured camera of the whole lineup. And I guess the other major thing is that has wireless charging, actually. The key wireless charging where you put it on a pad and it charges wirelessly. It doesn't have the MagSafe ring.
Which, fuck you, Apple. That is like that feels like just making it shittier for no reason.
So if you want to charge it with like a MagSafe charger, the magnetic one where it's held in place, it won't do that because it doesn't have the magnetic ring. Imagine somebody, if they're not already doing it, will sell like a case that has a circular magnet and then has key wireless charging, so you can get that same effect. But if you have some a wireless MagSafe iPhone charger like I do, for my iPhone 12 mini, a 12 mini can charge with MagSafe, but a 16e can't. 4 years difference. It's like, I don't know what's up. Maybe trying to save space. I'm sure they have a reason for leaving that out. Who knows what the reason is?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like, the other major thing is that for the first time, and this is not a big deal to the customers because you won't know the difference, but in the tech world, this is the first phone that I'm aware of that contains a modem that is made by Apple. The modem chip.
Shit, I forgot about that.
That's right. The modem chip in this phone is an Apple-designed, Apple well, not. I guess they're not fabbing it, but
the new Apple C1.
Yes, the C1 modem chip. If you don't know, there's been a huge issue in the United States and around the world for a long time, where a company, mostly Qualcomm, has all kinds of crazy patents about modem chips to put in modems. So almost everyone who makes a modem of any kind had to either license patents from Qualcomm or just buy chips from Qualcomm, or there were very few other modem options, and there were lawsuits with Qualcomm and Apple and all kinds of nonsense. And it was just like, hey, can we wait for these patents to expire? Can we buy them out? Can we shut them down? What can we do about this? No one else can get in the modem game. It's anti-competitive, yada, yada, whatever. But here we go. Finally, we've broken through. Apple has their own modem chip. Is it better? Is it worse? I don't know.
iPhone has 16e. Users are about to find out one way or the other.
Yep. We'll see if it, hopefully it could, what advantages could this have? Less power usage. When does radio signals happening, right?
Yeah.
That could be significant. Better performance, features, right? Of more support for different, radio protocols in different parts of the world. Better, you could get better signal even in the same place if the modem is better, right? Or the antennas are better. Who knows?
Yep.
Possibly.
I mean, it could be worse too. Like, we won't find out until we see how it actually works in the field.
Yeah, I think what's going to happen is for the next few years, Apple's going to be using this chip to basically, if they think it's good enough, they're putting it in a device. They're going to,
make other chips to put in devices.
Well, sure, but they think it's, I guess, worthy enough in its current form, that they don't need to like be like, ah, shit, it's not good enough. We have to go with the Qualcomm chip, whatever.
Yep. Definitely piloting this with the public in the SE does make sense from a product management perspective.
Yep.
That's the kind of thing I would do if I had something like that.
Right, because it's not a selling point that you would pilot in a high-end device like a fancy camera, right?
Yeah.
It's we hope this works. Let's pilot it in the cheap device to make sure it's good enough, and there's no problems with it. But I think what's going to happen is, they'll improve it over the next several years. They'll do C1, C2, C3. I think eventually they will just incorporate it into the SoC, the A whatever chip, and it won't be a separate chip anymore. It'll just be part. So in the CPU, there will be a modem in there, and nobody I know is doing that, and that would be a significant enhancement in terms of power savings, performance, the feature, etc.
Because that's not like the old Win modems. That wasn't like hardware to do modem was in the CPU. That was just make the CPU use its general processing abilities to do modem shit to save money. So funnily enough, my news has a story suggested right after it on Engadget, and that story is about the iPhone 6e. Quote, a $599 iPhone 16e is a cruel joke. The cheapest iPhone should not cost $600.
But the regular iPhone, the minimum price is $200 more than that. And I expect that the iPhones that come out this year in September and other Apple devices coming soon, tariffs or no, the prices are going up.
Yep,
right?
Prices are going to go up on all technology for a lot of reasons for probably the next decade or two.
Right. So you might think that price is a cruel joke compared to, last year's or the year before or the other iPhone SE, but it's that's going to start looking like a reasonable price very soon.
Yep. I'm going to go further and say...
And it is still $200 less than the regular iPhone. So if you don't need the fancy camera and you need a brand new phone for some reason, you get a used phone, I'd say.
I mean, you
can get an older new phone is what I would recommend if you really need to save money. You can get an iPhone 14 or 15 that is brand new and no one's ever used it.
I just got the screen replaced because it had survived multiple cycling and skiing and other incidents. I got the screen replaced and the battery replaced for free. My 13 mini is going to last a while.
I expect my iPhone 12 mini to last until at least, I guess 16s are out now, at least 3 more years. So that would be 7 years, but hopefully more than 7 years. I'm going to use it until it's either broken and can't be repaired or iOS no longer supports it and I have to upgrade.
So in some other news, Gmail, Google Gmail, is going to phase out SMS for two-factor authentication. They're not going to support that anymore. This is absolutely good news because SMS is not safe for two-factor. Categorically unsafe. I would argue if you use SMS for two-factor, you don't in fact have two-factor. You have actually exposed yourself to an extreme vulnerability. SIMs are really easy to steal. The cell phone providers don't really do shit about it. SMS is possibly the most insecure method of communication that exists on Earth.
Yep. Well, and there are many services that you can't avoid using in your life that force you to use SMS 2FA and don't offer another option. So I strongly recommend going to your mobile service provider. And I know Verizon has it in the US. I don't know about other services in other countries or whatever, but there is an option in there somewhere to make your shit more secure. So
locking your SIM. There's different terms for it and all the different carriers.
Demanding the PIN number more times to do certain things. And it's are those going to guarantee that you're protected? No, but they will help. So turn them on.
Yep, absolutely do that. And also, if you think about it, go into all the accounts you've got that you haven't used in a long time that might be using SMS and just see if they've added support for something else. Unfortunately, very few large companies have added support for what I would consider standard two-factor authentication. We
got passkeys now, but the adoption is not picking up.
I'm seeing passkeys appearing more frequently than by traditional TOTP type stuff.
It's coming, but it's just not coming quickly enough. You know?
Yep. But I also will still recommend for many things that do support it. A long time ago, I migrated to using a YubiKey. And so when I need a two-factor code, it's not actually on my phone. I scan my YubiKey with my phone, and the phone is just a screen for it. That was one of the best decisions I've ever made in my life. I highly recommend you do something like that. It's just fantastic to have a key that is separate from your phone in case you say lose or break your phone.
Yep, but it only works with places that support it, which is a lot of places, but not all the places.
Yep. Let me see. Well, I can't look unless I scan out of my keys with me. But anyway, in some third news, and this might not seem like the most important news, but I see so many people complaining about this on the internet that I got to mention it. Twitch has made a change. They are capping the total number of hours of highlights, which are basically video on demand that you can watch.
I didn't even know you could upload things to Twitch. I thought it was
I have never in my life never watched something on Twitch that was not live.
Yeah, well, I mean, there are a lot of people who do watch things on Twitch that aren't live.
Are there though?
Yeah, there are actually. People love to go, like, they'll be like someone who follows a streamer, and the streamer streams at a time that's not convenient for them, and they'll just go watch VODs.
But most streamers I know just upload their stuff to YouTube after the fact, and I can just go
A lot of them do, yes.
But anyway, Twitch has announced, for a bunch of reasons, they're putting a cap on those VODs, those video on demand, the highlights.
No, they're not putting a cap on the VODs at all. That's the thing that's everyone's getting wrong. They're only putting a cap on highlights and uploads. I didn't even know you could upload separate video to Twitch that wasn't streamed on Twitch.
I learned that just now, and the article I'm looking at does not clarify that.
A VOD is you streamed on Twitch and they just saved it. Or a clip is like, yes, you're streaming on Twitch and one of your viewers clicked the clip button to save a particular section of your stream so that because it was an awesome moment. That's not part of the limit either.
Oh, so this is even less of a big deal.
Yes, it's very much less of a big deal. But it is, a move to where anytime a company provides some sort of service, right, and then cuts back on it without making up for it in some way, people just get upset because it's like, hey, I'm getting less for what I was getting before.
Yep. Hey, there's less asbestos in your French fries.
It only affects a very small number of streamers who stream a very large amount.
Twitch said less than 0.5% of active streamers have gone over the limit that they are now setting, and those people have all already been notified, and they can take action long before April 19th when uploads get limited going forward.
Yeah, but also those people who have so much video are likely to be the people with lots of views and who stream a ton, and so therefore that's the stuff people actually like. It if you got rid of all the highlights and uploads from all the small time streamers, no one would notice or care. But that 0.5% is the video that people probably really care about the most, because those are big time streamers.
But the thing I find most fascinating is Twitch did issue a few statements explaining why they're doing this, which a lot of companies
save money on storage.
Oh no, they went a little further. And that's why I think it's interesting. I'm going to quote here. Twitch explained, quote, "It originally launched highlights to drive discovery and engagement for streamers, but the feature hasn't been effective." So it's not serving the purpose they wanted it to serve. It is not doing the thing they wanted it to do. That is the reason why they're limiting it, saving money by reducing storage and reducing like the amount of stuff they have to support is sort of the benefit of doing this. But it seems like the reason they're making this decision is that these things just engage people who already watch those streamers on Twitch, meaning Twitch doesn't get anything about supporting this capability. So last, and this is not a tech news, but it is important. I'm not going to dwell on it. You can read expert opinions on the details of this. But of course, the world is in the middle of a crisis just broadly. Like we're entering a really interesting time. And I say that in a pejorative way. But Germany just had some elections. The headlines you might be seeing is that the Conservative Party won the elections, which is true with a big asterisk. So I do want to explain a tiny bit about what's going on, because the context of that news is really important. In the elections in Germany, the fucking Nazi party made big gains and won about 20% of the vote. Like Nazi,
in Germany,
Nazi.
the people who were supposed to ban Nazi speech, they fucked up, and somehow it didn't help, and the 20% of Germans are Nazis. Oh, these voting Germans.
Yep. The party in question is called the AfD, or the Alternative for Germany. It is just the Nazi party. Like, straight up. OG
in case you were
Nazi.
wondering.
Not even neo-Nazi, but like, let's bring back Hitler. Like, that is their kind of policy. So they won 20% of the vote, not the majority of the vote. In Germany, the Conservative Party, their equivalent of a center-right party, which is, I would argue, shockingly to the left of even the most liberal Republican in America. Like, they're not a good party. Like, don't get me wrong. Fuck them. But compared to American politics, this is just a bog standard European center-right party. They're kind of evil, but they're not Nazis. So
they're about as evil as you can get without being an actual Nazi. They're like, yes, we will take all the money from the poor people and give it to the rich people. And we don't like people who don't look like us.
We're gonna Reagan, Thatcher, Nixon, like that level of like corrupt, evil racism.
But do we actually want to kill all the people? And it's like, no, we don't.
So while they have won the election, they also do not have a majority. Remember, Germany is a parliamentary system. So basically, every single party in Germany that is not the Nazi party has agreed, regardless of anything, none of us will form a coalition with the Nazis. So while the center-right party is going to control the majority of the German government, they're going to form a coalition with the center party, the center-left party, the socialists, the communists, basically as many people as they need to get a majority, because they will never work with the Nazi party. Now, this is not like great. We'd all like to see a more progressive government in Germany, but it's very important to note anti-fascism is more important than most other issues, because if you lose on fascism, you lose on all the other issues too. So I'm just going to say broadly, anti-fascism can be a very, very big tent. Anyone who agrees that fascism is a bad idea is an ally in the fight against fascism, even if they're an enemy in every other fight.
Right, well, you have to win that. If you don't win that fight, it's like it doesn't matter what your policy is on taxes or healthcare or education.
Like if you get to the sports analogy, if you get to the playoffs, you can try to have universal healthcare. But if you don't even make the playoffs, you're just done. Like that's it. There's nothing else. So the context of all this is that Germany's government is basically going to be the center of gravity of European power as Europe undergoes a radical geopolitical realignment. Europe has basically identified that the U.S. is an enemy and is
correct
and is working to be able to secure and defend its own borders against Russian aggression and basically be the center of non-authoritarian democratic power in the world, or at least in Europe, in the absence of the United States. Like,
and speaking of which, Europe, we forgot this one part of the Apple News. We have them to thank.
Right. That's a big news.
We have them to thank that the iPhone 6e has a USB-C port, and that means that there are no Apple products available that you can buy that are new at an Apple store that need or use a Lightning port. The Lightning cable and the Lightning port are dead. You can still get cables, I'm sure, for your existing devices, but once those there'll be a second death when all of those devices are so old that they're no longer officially supported by Apple tech support. But at least of right now, no new available for sale Apple product has the Lightning port or the Lightning cable. Rest in peace, little cable. You had
this is
some
proof
advantage
that the arc of history is always toward righteousness and justice over the long scale.
There is one advantage of the Lightning cable that I think was downplayed, and that is it's a little tinier than the USB-C cable.
It is a little bit tinier. However,
I think it's a little easier to put in.
So my iPhone 13 mini has the Lightning cable. I have had to clean lint out of it to the point that it would work
USB-C
again.
USB-C has the same problem.
I have many USB-C devices. They're
not in your pocket all the day.
That is true.
Where the lint is.
But this Lightning port collects lint like it's its mission from God.
Yeah, that's what it does. When you get a USB-C iPhone, that'll also fill with lint.
But anyway, things of the day. So if you're not familiar with it, there is a famous ship. The ship is called the SS United States. If you look at a picture of it, it's a Titanic-looking thing.
Yeah, I didn't know about this because first of all, I thought all the SS ships were always like states or presidents, right?
Oh,
like SS
so there's so
Lincoln
much.
or SS New Jersey.
I do not have time to get into all the reasons why this ship is interesting. But one piece of this, so the SS United States, if I super summarize and skip a lot, it set the speed record for transatlantic passenger travel. Like, this was the Concorde.
No other boat has ever gone faster?
In 1952,
any kind, any boat variety?
Well, it doesn't matter anymore for reasons, but in 1952, It didn't just set the record, it shattered the record. It was seen as a new paradigm of travel, a world destabilizing event. The fact that this could transport so many humans so quickly between the United States and Europe, that in 1952, like, this ship was a big goddamn deal. Point number 2.
It's that old and it hasn't been like scuttled?
It's about to be scuttled. So
okay.
This ship, the gem of seafaring in 1952, went on to be very important militarily because after World War II, the United States Navy very prudently decided to collaborate, and this has rarely happened, with commercial industry. This ship was designed jointly by the U.S. Navy and the passenger cruise ship industry. The idea being it would use state-of-the-art naval technology, part of how it won the world record, but 2, in the event that there was a major war, this ship and any ship built on the same frame would be very easily and quickly reformatted to be a troop transport capable of carrying 14,000 U.S. soldiers anywhere in the world in a single voyage.
The boat is big enough to hold 14,000 people?
Yes.
How many people do the modern cruise ships hold?
I actually don't know because
I would
never set foot on a cruise ship in my life. I actually don't know offhand.
I'm going to look it up while you keep talking.
You can look it up. So this ship is a big goddamn deal. It was a historic ship. You can read the Wikipedia article. There's so much you can learn about it. This ship has been slowly rotting in South Philly for for a long time. Like, if you go to South Philly, it's just sitting there rotting. There has been a long fight about what to do with this ship. And finally, we have sorted it out. This long rusting hulk is about to be transported from South Philly to its final destination, where it is going to be scuttled off the coast of Florida as an artificial reef.
Okay. So, according to Wikipedia, the in-service passenger cruise ships,
all right,
the top 7 of them, the 7 largest, are all owned and operated by Royal Caribbean International.
All right.
2 through 7 on the list are in a class known as the Oasis class. The number 1 ship is in a class of its own. It is in the Icon class. It is the only ship in the Icon class, at least I'm pretty sure ever. It is called the Icon of the Seas. It is I don't know if it's the biggest ever, but it's the largest cruise ship in service. It has 2,805 staterooms. The overall length is 364 meters, and the maximum passenger capacity is 7,600 people. So half the U.S. has.
So I'm going to quote this here. If mobilized, onboard furnishings could easily be removed to make room for
I'm sure if you cleared out everything on the Icon of the Seas,
soldiers,
you could fit a lot more people and crammed in soldiers like sardines. Yeah.
Yep. Soldiers on a troop transport do not get the same amenities as, say, someone on a Caribbean cruise ship. The furnishings were designed to be quickly removed, and the ship could be reconfigured very quickly into a 14,400-man U.S. Army Division transport. And this was seen as so strategic that the Navy collaborated to make this ship.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I really like Navy stuff, and I know a lot about Navy stuff, and this is just kind of cool. So you can go to South Philly and see this thing. It's going to take them 18 days to tow it to Florida, where they're eventually going to sink it.
Okay. And then you can scuba dive if you want to see it.
Yeah, actually, you totally will be able to.
Yeah.
So you got a thing of the day?
Yeah, so this is game it's a free little itch.io game made by Daniel Benmuergi. I hope I pronounced your name correctly, Dan. And it was getting a lot of hype from various people because it combines dungeon crawling and Minesweeper, which are two things people like.
We just did a panel about how every game's the same game too.
And I'm making it my thing of the day, but with a caveat. I'm not making it my thing of the day because I think it's a great game, even though the fundamental idea is kind of great. I'm making my thing of the day because I'm hoping someone can explain the fuck how to get anywhere in this game. So the way it works is that, you start off, there's a dragon, right? And the dragon is level 13. So in order to beat the game, you have to get to level 13, and you have to have 13 health, and then you can just click on the dragon and win, basically, right? So when you start the game, there is one space that has a blue magical crystal ball. You click on it, and it reveals a diamond-shaped area nearby. And you have 5 health, and you're at level 0. So what you do is, let's say I click on a bat who's level 2, right? The bat will die, and I will lose 2 health. If I click on the bat again, I'll get 2 XP. If my XP fills up, I can click on Jorge, who is my little guy in the bottom left, and level him up. And when you level up, your health will refill, and you'll have more health. And also, your XP meter will get bigger, and you'll need even more XP to reach the next level. And the problem is every time I played this game, it's like I do the prudent strategy, which is I use exactly all of my health, right, to not waste it, and then I level up, and then I use all of my health, and I level up, and I follow the clues, so I don't try to make risky moves and click where there might be a monster who's too strong and is going to kill me. I click on the health power-ups if I find them, only when I'm at, 0 health to get the most usage out of them. And then I always reach a point where I'm not level 13. I'm far from it. I don't have 13 health, and there are no clues available to me that indicate that a particular spot is safe to click on. There's only unsafe or completely luck-based clicks to be made, unlike Minesweeper, where you can almost always figure it out. And I end up having
almost always, to be fair.
Almost always. And I end up having basically no choice but to just click on a random spot and pray. And sometimes that gets me a little bit further, but never has I've gotten lucky enough to be able to progress and get to anywhere near level 8, let alone 13. So if there's something, the instructions for this game didn't really give me any more hints or help on what I'm supposed to fucking do, or how there's some way to do it. I'm hoping that someone can explain that to me. Yeah.
All right, we've gone on for 38 minutes. I feel like we should jump right into the main bit. Windows 11 came out, and
a while ago.
Yeah, quite some time ago.
Years.
And it is kind of fascinating to me how many people I've encountered in my personal and professional life who either say they're mad about it or don't like it, or have refused to upgrade to it.
Right. So first of all, you have to know that in October of this year, Windows 10 support is going to disappear. So if you don't upgrade to Windows 11, you will not get security updates for Windows 10, and your computer will be susceptible to being destroyed.
I wouldn't just say
all kinds
susceptible.
of hacks.
In the year 2025, with the current technological and geopolitical situation, running a computer that is connected to the internet in any capacity that does not have the latest security updates on its operating system is a fucking bad idea.
It's always been a bad idea.
It's a way worse idea now than it was a couple of years ago.
Yeah. And so that's bad for all the Windows 10 people. Now, there are people who can't upgrade because their computer is not supporting
I have
the
a
hardware.
6th generation Intel chip, which is not supported, so I got to deal with that on my HP
My
PC.
PC has the oldest chip possible that is supported.
The i7 6700K is not supported.
I have the 8700K. Anyway, the point is that a lot of these computers, it's going to be really sad if people just throw them out or whatever. And thankfully, Linux is there on the desktop. This might be finally the time for Linux on the desktop because Steam works on it better than ever before. And also, no matter how much Linux on the desktop sucks or how much hassle it gives you, if people faced with the option of buy a new computer for no reason just to get Windows 11, do a hacky thing to get Windows 11 to work, or just put Linux on the computer you have, there might be an increase in usage.
I am looking at reinstalling, reconfiguring my old HP PC, my i7 6700K, the GeekNights workstation for like a decade, and I think I could get away with Linux on the desktop because I can Steam stream and like Netflix and stuff we watch on the evil smart TV, so we're fine.
No, you use the evil smart TV?
Well, just for the Netflix app and nothing else.
Oh, I just use Apple TV. Anyway, so there's that. Yeah, the other thing is that it's like there are some people who are not upgrading to Windows 11, even though they could.
This
and it's like,
this I don't understand because other Windows, there's
and
a
it
whole
was.
history.
I think it used to be free. I don't think it's free anymore. So they missed their chance to do it for free.
But like, look, there were times when Windows upgrades were a big deal and like there were big sea changes. But I gotta say, I'm a computer fucking professional. Scott and I are computer professionals. I upgraded to Windows 11 like immediately when it came out, and you know what?
Yeah, because it was free.
You know what? I didn't notice any material difference between Windows 10 and Windows 11. In my day-to-day use of a computer, as a professional with a lot of credentials, there was no important or meaningful difference, let alone anything negative that got in my way.
Yeah, I mean, well, I think this is part of it, right? Is that Windows 11 is so similar to Windows 10 that it's like, why upgrade? It's not different or better it doesn't matter. And you know what? That's right. But it's not like Windows 11 is like some Windows Vista, Windows ME where it's bad and it sucks and it's worse than what came before. It's like, it's just fucking Windows. It's just like Windows 10, but it's going to keep getting updated. So what's your problem? Just update. Who cares?
So I've interrogated many people I know over the last year or so around why are you persisting and not upgrading to Windows 11? And the reasons I have heard, even from people who should know better, are kind of just bonkers. Why? A bunch of people have complained about the centered bar, the center
that is true.
Bar.
The taskbar and start menu are different, but you know what? That never bothered me because I don't really click on the start menu or taskbar. I always just press Alt space and then type in the program I want to launch. And press
I hit
enter.
the Windows key and I just type the name of the application I'm going to start or the folder I want to go to
and press enter.
I think that is 90% of everything I ever do on this computer with the operating system.
Yeah, and then I use keyboard shortcuts like Alt Tab and such, and I don't click on that thing, so it doesn't matter to me what the fuck it looks like.
I've seen people complain. The second main complaint, they complain about all these features Windows added that one, you don't have to use, and two, if you see them and they annoy you that much, you can disable them and they go away.
Yeah, it is true that if you click, it was true in Windows 10 also, but if you click on the start menu, like there's ads and widgets and all this other bullshit, and there's co-pilots, and there used to be Cortanas, and there is all sorts of shit that they put in Windows 11. And it's, annoying and, ad-like, or it is ads or whatever. But you know what? All that shit shouldn't be there. I agree. I'm not saying any of that's good. But I disabled absolutely all of it when I installed Windows 11, and it never came back. All of it is a 100% completely disableable entirely with no extra software or hacks. Like, you can just disable it by clicking on the options and saying, get that shit out of my face. That shit gets out of your face and it never comes back. So, yeah, is it bad? Yes. But it takes you 5 minutes to make it go away, and then you just have Windows. You open the start menu and there's nothing in there that's bad.
In terms of Windows upgrades, in the past, upgrading a computer as opposed to doing a fresh reinstall from Windows 9X to 2000, that didn't fucking work. You really did have to do a clean install. The transition from Windows 10 to Windows 11 was the most seamless upgrade I have ever seen.
Because almost nothing is different, so they didn't have that much to update.
So if you have not upgraded, there's really no excuse unless the hardware is not supported, in which case, go to Linux. Don't keep running Windows 10. That's a terrible idea.
So what are the other differences between 10 and 11? Well, one difference is that Windows 11 has these snap layouts. If you use them, you use them. If you don't, you won't notice that they're there.
Yep.
It's mostly that the virtual desktop stuff in Windows 11 is a little bit better than the stuff in Windows 10.
Yep, it works
the
pretty
Microsoft
well.
Store,
I like it.
Yeah, the Microsoft Store in Windows 11 is a little bit different. if you use that at all. I've only used it like a couple times. There is a feature on Windows 11 where you can like do some stuff with like running Android apps. You might have to get like
the
this
Windows
Amazon
subsystem
store.
for Android. I haven't even touched that because I don't use Android anymore. But.
Yeah, I don't know what's up with that. There's the one thing that is a problem with Windows 11. This is a real problem that bothered me, and it's a reason why I had the Microsoft Surface at my previous job, and then I didn't. Even though I had liked it at a previous job, I got it again at a different job, and I didn't like it. Is because the way Windows 11 handles tablet mode. In Windows 10, there was tablet mode, and you could have it automatically toggle, or you could toggle it yourself, whether that the computer was in tablet mode or not. And in tablet mode, the taskbar gets bigger so that you can touch it more easily. Basically, the UI changes a bunch to make it easier to use as a tablet. And it changes back to normal mode and looks like a computer when, for example, you take your Microsoft Surface Pro and attach a keyboard to it. It says, a keyboard has been attached, a mouse has been attached. Obviously, I don't need to be in tablet mode anymore because the user is going to use normal computer interface and not the touchscreen. In Windows 10, you could control that mode to a sufficient extent. In Windows 11, if you put a Microsoft Surface Pro on your desk and you connect it to, let's say, an external monitor and an external keyboard and an external mouse, but you detach its magnetic keyboard because you don't need those. Why would you waste desk space with that, flimsy portable keyboard when you've got all this real keyboard attached to it? It will stay in tablet mode because the magnetic keyboard isn't attached. It thinks it's being used as a tablet, and that's terrible. And so that's really, I'm pretty sure that's never been changed. I don't know. It's been years since I
wouldn't notice because I haven't.
Yeah,
I just have a Windows Surface 3 laptop.
Right, but that basically completely ruined. I would have been like, so happy with the Surface Pro still, if not for that. And that is very annoying. So if somebody had a Surface Pro and wanted to use it on their desk, but remove the keyboard from it to save desk space, in that specific scenario, I'd be like, yeah, so if you're going to waste the desk space with the space the keyboard takes up, just get a Mac instead.
Yeah.
Which is what I did.
Yeah.
There are some slight improvements to gaming on Windows 11. There's like some direct storage stuff. I don't know exactly what that does. There's some HDR stuff that like the automatic HDR, I guess, is better or different.
It looks like it just works, but because
it never worked. I tried to use it. It could be because I've only ever had a 1070.
I've never had an HDR compatible monitor because I am still running my two Dell Ultrasharps that I bought a long time ago. And you know what? They're still going 100%. They're just champs.
Yep. But yeah, I did use HDR at some points, and I never really noticed it providing a benefit when it was playing a game that had it. And when I wasn't playing a game that had it, it was just kind of a hassle. Sometimes it would make weird colors and things because the HDR mode would get messed up. And that happened in Windows 10 and 11. Yeah. So I guess Windows 11 might have improved it somewhat, but it's just annoying. And then I guess if you do want to use Copilot, which I would never use, I guess it's better or only available in Windows 11. I don't even know if Windows 10 supports the Copilot machine learning.
I'm not touching any of that stuff. I read Dune. Right. I know where that goes.
But you can just disable it. You just turn that shit off. Yep. So, I don't know. If there is still a way to upgrade for free and your computer supports it, I recommend it.
Absolutely, you should. Because one piece of anecdata, on my computer, my current workstation, has never crashed. Has never had a problem. It's running Windows 11, like literally never had a problem.
If for some reason your computer doesn't support it, I would recommend go to Linux, buy a new computer, do something about that. You got options. If it costs money to upgrade and your computer and you can't do the free upgrade anymore, that's punishment for not upgrading earlier. I have no sympathy for you, really.
But if you refuse to upgrade for any other reason, I'd love for you to tell us why, because we're just gonna make fun of you.
Yeah, I honestly cannot imagine. It's one of those people who's like, the UI is a little bit different. It's like, bro, every single update ever, the UIs in the world keep changing. You have to adapt to the UI changes. That's just life.
Yep.
Are the UI changes always empirically better? Yes, no, whatever. Sometimes, but it's like you're not in charge of what that UI looks like. If you want to be, Linux, it's right there. You can completely control every pixel on your screen with like FEWM or some shit. Go right ahead.
Plus, also, a lot of people seem to like forget how radically operating system and application UIs have changed over the very short history of computing existing on this earth.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to argue a UI should never change, then you should just use a VT100. Use the first UI that ever existed. You should not use right.
You want to play a Civ game? Don't play Civ 7. Play Civ 1.
I'm only going to use Windows 3.11 because I hate what they did with the UIs when Windows 95. I'm not
That's
upgrading.
bullshit. That added networking. Computers shouldn't network.
Right. It's like, come on.
Windows for work groups.
You're not going to notice this difference. You're just going to get used to it, and it won't be a thing. And it's like you're going to and even if it was a thing, even if we agreed that the UI was worse and it's a pain and it sucks and whatever, there are things you can do to work around that, change your work it patterns, the way you use it, get used to it, but also what you're giving up to keep the old UI, like security updates, etc. It's not a fair exchange.
Yep.
It's not a good deal.
It's something we talk about a lot on Geek Nights, but it's the technology moves fast, and the people who do best in life in relation to technology will generally adapt themselves to technology rather than the other way around.
It's like imagine if like your coat was all tattered and you're cold and there's a brand new coat. It's like, here, you could just have a brand new coat. It's free. And it's like, I don't want it. I don't like the style. It's like, all right, so freeze. It's like, seriously.
But
freeze.
It is
what is wrong with you?
It is noteworthy how good the upgrade path was. Like, Microsoft has solved that problem in their operating system, like generational versions.
You probably will just forget. I even remember that I had Windows 10 or 11. It's like, whatever.
Yeah.
In my eyes, they're the same fucking thing.
Yeah, our HTPC is still Windows 10. I got a few months before I got to deal with that.
I had HTPC that was Windows 10, and I didn't notice any difference between that and my desktop.
You know what I do?
Which was 11.
I go and I open the HTPC, I hit the Windows key, and I type the name of the application I'm going to run, and that's it.
Yeah, I didn't notice that one was one or the other. It literally doesn't matter, so you might as well upgrade.